The first person I came out to was my mom. I actually called her crying, going, I don't want to be a girl anymore. And that was the conversation we had on the phone. Probably not the best way to do it, by the way. Hello, YouTube. It's great to have you back. My name is Derek, and I'm a 43-year-old queer trans man who has been transitioning for 3 years now. And I also have ehlers-danlos syndrome. I regret not coming out sooner because coming out has made me much happier. Like, I'm still practicing how to walk. There's certain things you got to change about yourself to come off masculine. I didn't know this. Women walked with one foot in front of the other. It makes their hips sway. Well, men has junk hanging in there. You can't do that. So they walk side by side. And that's what I was practicing with until somebody told me that men move with their entire body. Because I still felt like my hips were swaying. This is the weirdest thing. I know we are always thinking about what's going to get us clocked as trans. So I've been practicing that. But there's other things too. Like, I often talk way up here instead of talking down here where my voice actually is. Because I'm not used to speaking from my chest. I'm used to speaking from my throat. So there's a lot of little things you have to change. My mom tells a story about how when I was 3 or 4, they would tell me things like, oh, aren't you such a cute little girl? And I'd be like, I'm a boy. It was like, what, 1978, 1979? So the word transgender wasn't even around. And they just thought I was confused as to the difference between a boy and girl. Now, I don't know how true that story is. She kind of goes back and forth on it. I think the first time I identified that there was something different about me was when I was much younger. I mean, you know, when you're 5, 6, somewhere around there, and you end up usually in a basement or in somebody's bedroom, and that one guy, and he's like, I'll show you mine if you show me yours, and his genitals look different than mine. That's the first time I understood there was something different about me. I do remember feeling very much like one of the boys. Growing up, I always hung with boys. Those were my friends. My friends were always boys. I didn't have very many friends that were girls. Of course, the military, everybody's moving around, and so it was hard to make friends. You made acquaintances, really. I had started asking questions when I was 11. It was like 1986 when I asked this question to my sister, and I asked her, I said, you know, I do all these boy things. Do you consider me more a brother or a sister? She ended up turning to me and went, well, you're a girl, so that means you're a sister. You can't be my brother if you're a girl. And it was 1986, you know, we didn't know and understand gender. When I was younger, they just considered it as being a tomboy. And you know, there are people who that's what they are. They're tomboys. But there's some of us that get labeled as tomboys, and we're actually transgender. It wasn't until around age 13 that Oprah did a show about being born in the wrong body. I really do feel like I was born in the wrong body. I don't feel like I belong in this body. It doesn't feel right. But again, I didn't have the right language to express that. And at the time, it was like 1988, 89. And so again, the word transgender wasn't really around. I probably should have come out when I was 13, but I didn't know how. I didn't know I was actually having to come out. I already felt so much like a freak. I was really worried about my family thinking that I was a freak too. Now I let my freak flag fly, and I don't think they could have handled it back then either. My mom's actually admitted to that, which I get it. There was a difference on the way people thought and the education that went into just trying to get people to understand things like gays, AIDS, and HIV that took a couple of decades to change people's perception on it. Part of my birth name has the word Lee in it. And on the way down, when we were moving down here to Texas, my dad happened to mention to me saying, you know, when people have the word Lee in their name, sometimes they go by that. And I thought, oh, fabulous, Lee, that sounds like a boy's name. So I didn't come out. I pushed it down, and I pushed it down, and I made up boyfriends. Yeah, I got teased a lot at school, actually. They already saw me as Leslie Lee, which was weird because when I lived in Virginia, being a tomboy was fine. Living in Houston, Texas, and Clear Lake, Texas, not okay. It was really weird for me. It was kind of a culture shock. And it's so funny because now I look back and I'm like, oh, well, they were in the right area, LGBTQIA. They just had the wrong letter. I tried to fem it up a bit, but I failed. I failed so hard. I actually went to my 25-year reunion recently and talked to a friend of mine one of my best friends actually. And he looks at me and he goes, well, the world is catching up to how you were in high school. And I was like, how I was in high school? What do you mean how I was in high school? And he told me, he's like, well, you were pretty androgynous in high school. And I was like, what? And he looks at me, he's like, what did you think you were? And I looked back at him, I was like, I thought I was pretty fucking feminine. And he just looks right back at me and goes, sweetie, you failed that. Everybody at the party knew I was trans because I had to make a public post about, hey, I'm transgender. I don't want my, old name being on my tag. Because they made name tags for everybody with our old pictures on it, which it was really funny because I had this picture of my old high school picture with the name Derek by it. But at least they were kind enough to do that. So my 41st birthday, I was actually in the shower and I was crying. And I was like, why am I so depressed? I had been depressed for months at this point. Like not able to get out of bed, not able to get up and feed myself, not able to get up and shower, things like that. I was like, okay, something needs to change because I'm not going to live very long if I have to live like this. And the only thing that was sustaining me was Teen Wolf fanfiction and the Teen Wolf show. I actually attribute that show to saving my life because I don't think I would still be here if that show had not been on. It actually helped me realize that I was trans. So there's a character on there played by Dylan O'Brien. The character was Stiles Stilinski. I identified with the character. There was so much about the character that I saw in myself as a parallel. There's been characters like this before. Why didn't I identify with them? And I thought back, and the only ones I could remember were female characters that were playing that role. And the only one I can remember now is Kimmy Kibler on Full House. The only difference between that character and the Stiles Stilinski character was their gender. I tried to look internally at ways and times where I am happiest. And those were when I was watching Teen Wolf, when I was reading Teen Wolf fanfiction, and when my ex-boyfriend went to work. Because one of the things I would do, I would retreat inside my imagination where I got to be a boy. I would do this all the time. I've been doing this my whole life like that. I would literally talk to people who actually weren't there. Because, I was isolated. I haven't driven since like 2003 for my own safety and everybody else's safety. But I would pretend people that were either from TV shows that I liked or whatever, or I would pretend I was a character in a TV show and we'd have conversations back and forth. And I loved it until my ex-boyfriend came home. I had to quit doing that. I had to stop. I was miserable. I had lived with my ex for 17 years to a man. A very homophobic man. Like a man who would not wear pink because he was afraid people would think he was queer or gay. The next day I called my mom and I was feeling very upset because I knew this was going to cause my relationship with my ex-boyfriend to implode on itself. And I was bawling my eyes out. I was just like, I don't want to be a girl anymore. That's not probably the best way to do it. My parents and I had difficulties back and forth. We didn't always get along, but I knew that they would never completely abandon me. They wouldn't be like, well, it's up to you then. My mom says, okay, well, we need to get you a counselor. And I started going, and the first thing they wanted me to do was start dressing the part, which I kind of already was. I started buying myself clothes, men's clothes, and I would wear them when my ex-boyfriend would leave for work. I would wear them around the house, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But the thing that still got me was that I had a very large chest, and that was still there no matter what. It took me about 2 months to come out to my ex. I actually thought he was going to blow up when I told him, but he didn't. He was just very calm, and I don't know if he was shocked or not. I had told him that at one point I thought I was trans, and he asked if I still felt that way, and at the time, no, I didn't, because it honestly hadn't. I had been pushing it away, and I had been trying to fem myself up so much that it just becomes a part of the background noise and you don't realize that it's there anymore. But he was very quiet and it was like, well, you need to do what you need to do, but we need to break up because I'm not gay. Yeah, I know that's a douchey and shitty thing to do to somebody, but I knew that was going to happen. He was very homophobic, and unfortunately, I knew if I transitioned to being a guy, he wouldn't stay. Now, my coming out is not what causes our relationship to destroy itself. That happened years earlier. We had somebody who decided to meddle in the relationship, and it was just over silly things. They didn't understand my disability mainly. And my ex-boyfriend didn't do anything to help. He just agreed with them whenever they said nasty things about me, and it was really hurtful. I felt like I was very alone, very lonely. I think this is what actually helped lead up to me coming out too, because I think some of that led to me being very depressed. I wasn't understanding why I was having difficulty conversing with these people, and the reason it turned abusive is my ex-boyfriend turned it on me, said it was my fault, that I'm the one that can't be social, I don't have social skills, and I just don't have the social skills needed to be able to talk with regular people. It turned into an abusive relationship that needed to end. My coming out was just the push that it needed. I feel bad for certain people too, because he always used me as excuses for when he wanted to leave someplace. He would say, I need to go because they aren't feeling well. And he wouldn't even consult me on it. And it made them resent me a lot, especially when I left. And we were leaving each other, and that seemed to get lost in it. He didn't even tell his family why we broke up. He told them this lie that I came out bisexual and met a girl and I wanted to go live with her. It's one of those things where it's a big family, and unfortunately, he just controlled the narrative there. That's something I wish I had done more, is control the narrative. I told my mom, but my mom told my sister, my dad, and my sister told my niece. And that's the one thing I think I do regret. I think I really wish I had more control over that conversation. Because when they told my niece about it, I don't know what they said to her, though. My sister has a point. It's her kid. She should be the one to talk to her. But I feel like I should have requested to be there as well to answer any questions. I wish I had done that. I wish I'd controlled the conversation more. There were a lot of people in my extended family that my mom was not planning on telling that I was trans, because she didn't want to hear the BS that they might say, like, oh, I'm so sorry, how are you feeling, how is, things like that. It's so funny. I could tell when she was on the phone with people that she hadn't told yet, because she would go like, oh yeah, I'm just driving to, and then dead name me. And it was so funny because she would get off the phone and I'd be like, you really want to live this double life? And she's kind of like, yeah, that's not going to work. And so she told them, and was really surprised by their responses, actually. Their responses were very positive, and, she just wanted to be something where I'm not the trans guy in the family. She just wanted to be, that's Derek. And it's not even an issue. So, and I appreciate that. It took us a little while to get there. Support groups really helped. She was having trouble because with the name, namely because I would correct her every time she used my old name. I would correct her. That caused a rift between us because, well, I'm not really sure why. I think she took it personally, but we were able to resolve that by going to a support group nearby. Her issue was that she would get all my medical stuff in under one name, and then, but I want to be called this other name. It was just a disconnect for her, and I actually, I did something sneaky. I needed to borrow her phone so that I could find my phone. I was, pulling my name up, it still said my old name, and so I went in and I changed it. I changed it on her, and she said at first she was really mad. That's my phone. You changed my phone. And then she realized, oh, this is easier. This is easier to start remembering. So she started writing Derek appointment this or Derek appointment that instead of writing my old dead name appointment this and stuff. And that started helping her out a lot. And I think also the support group was able to express things that I was having trouble expressing, like the fact that being disabled, my parents have always been very supportive of me. And just because they were having trouble with this one name, they felt that that shouldn't be what's causing the rift between us. She expressed that it felt like I was being very selfish about it. And yeah, I am. People express that as we're transitioning, we have to be selfish, because this is the one thing that we've ever done for ourselves, is to come out and to transition. It is the one thing that we have done for ourselves and not anybody else. It is the best gift we've ever given ourselves. So we have to be selfish about it. And I think that helped her a lot to understand. So I am lucky that I got to have a hysterectomy when I was around 22, 23. And I got to have top surgery in May of 2018. I'm done with anything medically transitioning. I was actually on estrogen before I started testosterone. And for anybody else who's older like me, I was really worried about having to go off estrogen because I had been in menopause since I was in my early 30s. So I've been taking estrogen that whole time, and I already have that issue with dysautonomia where my body has trouble regulating its own temperature. So I was really worried going off of that. And here's the thing you have to know. If you are on estrogen right now and you're switching over to testosterone, as long as you have a sex hormone in you, you won't feel the menopause symptoms. Estrogen is a sex hormone and testosterone is a sex hormone. You don't have to take both. I don't have any of my menopause symptoms at all that I would have had. Now, I was worried when I had my top surgery about having to go off my testosterone. They wanted me to go off it for 3 weeks, but because I don't make estrogen in my body anymore and I don't have to fight against that, I begged and pleaded with them. So I did 2 weeks instead of the 3 weeks. I did go to Raphael up in Plano where I got my top surgery and did a fantastic job. So yeah, that was good to know. By coming out, actually, I've been able to do a lot of exploration with sexuality. I've come to the decision that I'm asexual. I'm not sex repulsed. If you give me a choice between doing some chore that hasn't been done yet and sex, I'm going to pick the chore. We have some other videos out there. Hopefully you've gotten a chance to watch them. If not, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell for the notification so that you'll see when we bring in new videos and get to know all of our amazing and wonderful other queer creators that we have here on this channel.